Hey friend, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and got a new video for you today. Today we're going to be talking about one of the best tools that any guitarist can use that makes it easy for you to play in any key and to transpose songs to other keys, like if you're playing with a singer or you're singing. But on top of that, it can also make difficult things a lot easier to play. So what am I talking about? I am talking about the capo. Okay, so I threw a capo on my guitar here. What the heck is a capo, and how do you use it? Well, first of all, say capo. Okay, don't say capo. I had a buddy in high school who would always do that just because he knew it bugged me. He didn't even play guitar; he would just say it. He was a singer in a band I played in. But so capo is how you say it, not capo. Okay. Shout out to you, Jesse. Good times. So, what a capo is a capo is just a tool that can help you change the range of your guitar. Okay, so it's essentially, if we don't have it on here, it's essentially moving the nut of your guitar, which is right here, the white part that all your strings go through and sit on. Okay, it's basically taking this part of your guitar and shortening the neck. Okay, it's like barring all your strings with your finger, except instead of having to do it with your finger, you can cheat. This is a cheat, but it's a good cheat. And you put the capo on, and then all of a sudden you can play in a higher key. Okay, now why would you want to be able to do this? Well, you might have a song that you're playing that sounds better in a different key, whether they're singing or not. Different keys will have different feelings. And sometimes a song will just feel better in a different key with a capo on it than it will in the original key that you thought it was. For example, Hotel California by the Eagles was written in open tuning in this, right? But after they started working on it, Don Henley came to Don Felder and said it needs to be in this key, it needs to be in B minor. Okay, so all he did is he used a capo and moved it up, and he was able to change keys. Okay, but whether they're singing or not, that can be true. Okay, but if you are working with a singer, it's a big, awesome thing because then you can change keys for that singer because singers will have different ranges and be able, so whether it's for you or it's for a singer that you're working with, being able to change keys quickly and easily is going to be awesome because on top of allowing you to do that, that means that the chords that you play or the scales that you play or whatever all become relative to the capo then. Okay, so you can still play. If I play a G shape here, okay, my G shape, easy to play. I'm used to it. I know it. I'm familiar with it. But if I change keys with a capo by throwing a capo on here, then all of a sudden I'm in a new key, but I'm not playing anything different with my fretting hand. I don't have to learn anything new. I don't have to do anything different. It's just the same thing a little bit higher up on the neck. Okay, so how do capos work? Well, first of all, you need to make sure that you have the right kind of capo for your guitar. Okay, now if you don't know, fretboards on guitars, the actual wood on your fretboard can come either curved, so the fretboard is actually curved underneath the strings, or flat. Okay, and they make capos that are for curved fretboards and for flat fretboards. So you need to know what kind of fretboard you have and get the appropriate kind of capo. Okay, now when you do get that, what you do is all you do is take your capo and you place it with the long part pressing down on the strings just like your finger would. And it doesn't matter if the handle is on this side of the neck or if you do it this way, that doesn't matter. Some people like to do it different ways. It doesn't matter. Whatever is easiest for you, really. But you want to make sure that you get that as close to the fret as possible. Just like with your fingers, you want your finger to be right up next to the fret, as close to it as you can. Same thing with this. The further away from the fret that your capo is, the more out of tune you're going to be, okay? And we don't want to be out of tune, because if you're out of tune, you're going to sound bad, okay? So you get that as close to the fret as possible. That'll help keep your guitar in tune. But even when you put it on there and it's close, if you're playing like a whole song or something and you're performing, always retune your guitar with the capo on, okay? Now what that means is you're going to tune your guitar to the new notes that it's playing, okay? So if you tune your guitar before you put on the capo and then you put the capo on, retune it by just checking and making sure all 6 strings are in tune nice with the capo on. What that doesn't mean is that you tune this string and you tune it down to E and then you tune this string down to A. Don't do that. I had that happen one time. Don't do it, okay? So when you're retuning the guitar after you put the capo on, it's to all new notes, whether you know what the notes are or not. This is why a chromatic tuner is your best friend, because it'll tune to any note rather than the tuners that are guitar specific and only tune to A, D, G, B, E, right? So yeah, get your capo on, make sure it's the right capo, get it close to your fret, and then retune your guitar, okay? Those are 3 big things that are really, really going to help you. But once that capo is on, wherever you put that capo is now your fret 0, okay? This is now, all these are open strings now, okay? So my friend Lauren, she said something about someone called a capo an open string generator, or an open note generator. And I like that description because that's what it did. It just generated a bunch of open notes for us, okay, that we don't have to fret. So that means when you're going to play chords or scales or anything, this is now 0. So if this is on my 3rd fret right now is 0. My 4th fret is 1. My 5th fret is 2. My 6th fret is 3. My 7th fret is 4. My 8th fret is 5, right? So everything is now relative to the capo, okay? And that way, you can figure out how to play your chords and everything the same way. Because if it's here and you're used to playing your G chord on your 2nd and 3rd string, your 2nd and 3rd frets, now it's relative to the capo. So if this is now 0, so for my G chord, I'm going to have to count up. This is 0, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, and then I have my G chord. Okay? And the cool thing is, I can take that, I can change keys by sliding my capo using the same chord shapes that I already know. Okay, and I can change it and I can just play the exact same things and it doesn't matter because the capo is helping me out. Okay, so capos are such beautiful things because of that. So for example, let's do this. If I have a song, for example, that is in the key of G, now this is going to be important to know your notes at least along your 6th string and your 5th string, okay? If you don't know those, on your 6th string, your notes are E, open, okay? Your 1st fret is F, then 2nd fret is F sharp, your 3rd fret is G, your 4th fret is G sharp, 5th fret is A, then your 6th fret is A sharp or B flat, your 7th fret is B, your 8th fret is C, your 9th fret is C sharp, your 10th fret is D, then your 11th fret is D sharp, and your 12th fret is E. Okay? Now with your A string, your 5th string, you're going to have A for your open note, And then A sharp or B flat for your first fret, B for your second, C for your third, C sharp on your fourth, D on your fifth, D sharp or E flat on your sixth, E on your seventh, F on your eighth, F sharp on your ninth, G on the 10th, G sharp on the 11th, and then A on the 12th. Okay? Why is that important? Because if we're going to transpose a song, let's say that you get a song and you're looking at it and it's in a weird key, right? Let's say you're in the key of B flat, okay? So you print out these chords and you're like, where the heck is B flat? How do I play B flat? I don't know bar chords. Here's what you do. You go, what do I need to do to make my G a B flat? It could be C, it could be whatever, right? But let's use G for this example. So we're going to transpose something from the key of G to the key of B flat, okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my G chord that I already know, and I'm going to go, okay, this note right here on my sixth string, this is my G, right? So that's my root note for that chord. That's what the main note that all the other notes in that chord are based around, okay? So if I want that to be B flat, where's B flat on that string? And I'm going to go, this is G, G sharp, A sharp, B flat right here, right? Because B's here, so if I go flat, down one fret, then that's my B flat, okay? But if I play that with open strings, that sounds like garbage, okay? Not the band, but you know what I mean. So then what you do is you go, okay, if I want my G to be here so that it's now a B flat chord, then this has to be my third fret, my second fret, my first fret. This is now 0. So I'm going to put my capo on my third fret, and that'll make it so that my sixth fret that I'm playing for the G is now a B flat. And by doing that, now my G is a B flat. And also my C is now an E flat, right? So you can figure out all sorts of good stuff like this, and it makes it easy to just transpose. So what if it's C sharp, for example? Okay, so if it's C sharp, it's the same thing. You take that G shape and move it up to the C sharp note, which in this case is my ninth fret. But if I play with no capo and I just play a G with my finger on my ninth fret, it sounds like extra garbage, okay? So I have to figure out, if I want my G to be here, the ninth fret has to become my third, the eighth fret has to be my second fret, the seventh fret has to be my first fret, so the sixth fret is going to be my 0, my nut, okay? And so I'm going to put my capo on 6, and then I can play my C sharp with a G. So now this G chord is a C sharp chord. Okay? And that's how you can transpose songs. Okay? Because suddenly, it's not just G. Every chord that I play in that key, it changes the whole thing and makes it easier. Okay? So that's how you can transpose songs with a capo. So a lot of times I've used this working with singers, where we'll be playing a song and it'll be somewhere up like in C sharp. And they're like, you know what, that is too high. Well, that's easy. Let's just drop the capo down. And if I move it from my 6th fret to my 5th fret, I just dropped the whole song a half step, and I don't have to change anything that I play. Or if that's too high, you move it down again, and you can go. Right? So it makes it so easy and convenient. It's a simple tool. Now, there are actually, believe it or not, there are guitar players who build their entire careers based on being able to do this. Use a capo, change keys, and they play the same 5 or 6 chords in different keys because they're using a capo. So you don't have to go through and learn bar chords and do that if you don't want to. I recommend doing it because it'll make you a better guitar player and better rounded and able to do more stuff. But using a capo, don't feel bad for it. because using a capo is an awesome tool and you need to use it when the time is right. Okay. Now, I mentioned a third thing. I talked about how playing with a capo can make difficult things easier for you. And here's what I mean. Every guitar player hates the dreaded F chord, right? So your F chord, if you don't know it, is one that a lot of guitar players will be like, oh, I hate that chord. I can't play it. Because what you have to do is you have to put your first finger across your first fret on your first string and your second string. So you have to lay that finger flat. And then you have to get your second finger on the second fret of your third string and your third finger on the third fret of your fourth string and play all four strings cleanly like that, okay? But this little motion right here and then that is difficult for a lot of guitar players. And I'll tell you what, most of the time, it's your thumb position. But here's how you can use a capo to make that even easier. Check this out. I'm going to take a capo. I'm going to put this capo up here on my 9th fret, okay? So now my 10th fret is 1, my 11th fret is 2, and my 12th fret is 3. And these frets are closer together. And because they're closer together, it's easier to play stuff on these frets than it is all the way down here where these frets are spread apart more. So what you do is you take your F chord and you play it up here. So you can get used to the shape that you're making by putting your first finger on the first fret, or the 10th fret in this case, because my capo is now 0. And then your second finger on the 11th fret, which is second relative to your capo, and your third finger on the 12th fret, or your third fret on the 4th string, okay? And you practice it there. And you get comfortable up here high on the fretboard. And then once you're comfortable with that, you move it down a fret. Every time you move it down a fret, the frets will get further apart and make it a little bit harder for you to be able to play, okay? So you can make something a lot easier by moving it way up the fretboard and getting used to it, and then gradually scooting it down the fretboard by moving your capo down and getting used to it and doing it as you go until you come all the way down and you don't need a capo and you can just, right? So that is the beauty of a capo. It allows you to transpose songs, to change the keys, to play with singers, to make stuff easier for you to sing, and to do all that without having to learn a ton of different chords. And then you could also use it as a tool to be able to make learning difficult things easier by playing them higher up on the fretboard, okay? Capos are beautiful. So what I want you to do is, one, if you don't have a capo, figure out if you need a flat capo or a curved capo and go get one. Now, I highly recommend getting one that you can adjust the pressure on, okay? There are ones that have knobs that you can adjust how tight it squeezes the strings, because the ones like this that are just spring-loaded, they tend to squeeze the strings too much, and that's why your strings go out of tune, okay? With the other ones, you can usually adjust it so that you're in tune without having to totally retune your guitar. You just adjust the pressure that the capo is using. They're awesome, okay? So get a capo and start playing around with it. Take some songs that you know, or the chords that you know, or stuff that you're working on, and try doing it with a capo on. Even when you're just, learning your basic open chords, you can go from doing it down here in your open position and just do them up higher, and they're easier to play if you get them on the right frets, okay? So do that. Have some fun with it. Use a capo. Get used to it. It is a tool for you to use that can make your life easier if you use it right. So after today, I hope that you are now familiar with capos and how to use them, and I hope that you go do that and have fun with it. But if you want more good stuff like this, go to simpleguitar.com. I've got a free guide for you there called The Top 10 Things to Learn on Guitar First. Go ahead and download that guide. It is totally free. It's got this and a bunch of other stuff in it. And that is it for today, guys. So I will see you in the next video.